A Southern Illinois community will be featured on national TV tonight for its role in rebuilding Joplin, Missouri. Good evening. The ABC series Extreme Makeover Home Edition built 7 homes in 7 days for the tornado-ravaged city of Joplin. One of those homes got its start in Pinckneyville with help from hundreds of volunteers during a 36-hour mini build back in October. Tonight, the show will feature its efforts in Joplin and the part Pinckneyville played. News 3's Stephanie Tierpak has our story.
The Extreme Makeover build in Joplin kicked off on October 19th when 7 families learned they would soon be coming home to a brand new house.
You're talking, that constant movement of people and materials coming in and out.
Tony and Gary Philpott own Sherwood Forest Homes in Joplin. The company was one of several builders for the project. A partnership with Contemporary Homes would mean their project house took shape more than 340 miles away in Illinois.
We actually started essentially a day later than everybody else because we were built off-site, so there was competition.
Hundreds of people from Pinckneyville donated their time to building house number 5 before it was shipped to Joplin, and where it joined 6 other houses and where more than 10,000 volunteers took over the building process.
All the messages that the community wrote on the houses for the shipping wrap, it was one of those things that actually took us longer because the film crew from Extreme Makeover wanted to keep filming it and getting more documentation on it. And everybody was very interested in what we did there.
The home was designed for the Cogdill family, single mother Crystal and 4-year-old David.
I mean, the lady that got our house was actually in tears, thrilled to death that she had a house for her little boy and herself.
Cogdill's 9-year-old son, Zach Treadwell, was killed on May 22nd when he was ripped away from his mother during the tornado.
I don't think there's a moment that goes by that doesn't cross your mind of the loss.
The home shares a yard and garden with another Extreme Makeover family, the Whiteleys. The families were friends before the storm and now share the loss of children.
She's trying to get her life back together as well, struggling like everybody else.
1 block in the middle of the Twister's path, now with a new look to help a town move past the devastation.
You knew you were doing it for the right reason, and I think it's something that I'll never forget.
Now, 3 basic floor plans were used for the Extreme Makeover projects. Those floor plans will be offered for free to families looking to rebuild in Joplin. A viewing party for volunteers is being hosted by Contemporary Homes tonight at 6:30 at the Red Hawk Golf Club in Pinckneyville. The 2-hour episode begins at 7 o'clock tonight right here.
Some people want to be part of the rebuild and kind of see this thing come back together. Other people were so traumatized by the devastation that they don't want to look out their kitchen window every day and see what used to be full of trees to a barren landscape.
Business for Joplin builders Tony and Gary Philpott has picked up during the last few months.
Obviously, when you lose 4,000 plus houses, there's going to be a lot of activity.
The family company, Sherwood Forest Homes, is behind a dozen house and office construction projects, with many people choosing to go green and build safe, using energy-efficient materials.
It's a heavy gauge steel door
and concrete tornado shelters. Building for the May 22nd survivors comes with its rewards.
The lady just down the street, on our walkthrough with her, gave us a big hug.
And its challenges.
The fact that they're having to put up with the headache of actually building a new home that they had never intended to do, is stressful for a lot of people.
The F5 tornado's path left thousands homeless and unsure of their next step. The city lifted a 60-day moratorium on new construction in July. Building began again in Joplin. Now, almost 8 months later, empty home sites are still here. But Sherwood Forest Homes will have finished their 3rd house by the end of January.
We set a goal early on that we didn't want to lose population base.
Joplin leaders like City Manager Mark Rohr pressed FEMA to have housing alternatives in place, hoping to keep survivors nearby. Less than 70 days after the storm, The city and volunteers had cleared more than 2 million cubic yards of debris.
I think it's important psychologically for people to see the progress.
And on December 23rd, Joplin officials learned that more than 50% of families and businesses within the devastation zone had applied for permits to rebuild.
We're pleased, but not satisfied. We realize that we're only halfway there.
With a third of the city gone, Joplin is also looking to make the best out of one of the worst disasters in U.S. history.
The good things can come out of bad if you have the right approach.
A team of local residents and businesses called CART spent months gathering ideas. And the city plans to hire a master developer to carry out the team's recovery plan for the devastation zone.
We want to make sure that we take full advantage of that opportunity to rebuild and to rebuild better and stronger than we were before the storm.
In Joplin, Missouri, Stephanie Tierpak, News 3.
We're taking a look at the rebuilding of Joplin, Missouri in the wake of last May's tornado. The storm destroyed 5 of the city's schools, including Joplin High School. News 3's Stephanie Tierpak shows us how teachers and students handled the adversity and played a part in rebuilding Joplin.
It gives us our normal lives again. It helps us go on and move on.
The school year started just as planned for Joplin High School seniors Rachel Berryhill and Jana Oviedo. But the new Joplin High School and the first day of classes were anything but normal.
You didn't know what to do. There's a lot of news cameras around.
I didn't think it was going to be like this at all.
The 11th and 12th grade campus now sits inside a vacant big box store at the Joplin Mall, designed and remodeled in just 2 months.
It was just, let's just get it done.
Principal Carrie Saketa learned the high school was in the center of the devastation zone minutes after the tornado.
What we had to find was a place that had about 100,000 square feet, and there weren't many left in town.
The store turned school houses 1,100 students and features the latest technology.
You just hit a button and it goes on your screen.
With computer centers in hallways, laptops for books, and think tanks for projects. Beyond the classrooms, the Joplin School District has hired counselors to give students any extra help they might need. Oviedo has been forced to balance schoolwork and a life in temporary housing. His family barely survived the May storm by huddling in a small closet.
I was holding a mattress, but it was being pulled away from me. And then I looked up and I saw a roof being taken away. So it's I just prepared for then.
The family's home was destroyed, but Oviedo, like many other teens, immediately joined search and rescue efforts, trying to find survivors and recover bodies.
It's one of those things that you wish you don't have to go through.
Berryhill's home was severely damaged but spared from a direct hit. For her, the toughest part has been watching classmates struggle.
I know that there was a senior and he passed away, and also a sophomore, but then Quentin Anderson, he's in our grade, and just seeing him so hurt and losing his parents, I think that would be so hard.
But a return to school has brought the students together.
I went through a big thing of depression where I didn't talk to anyone. But being around all my good friends and seeing everyone, I've opened up.
And both Oviedo and Berryhill can't wait for graduation, marking 1 year since the storm.
It'll be really cool because we all need it, and it shows that just because we had a tornado, we still went on.
In Joplin, Missouri, Stephanie Tierpak, News 3.
The Joplin School District wants to borrow $62 million to pay for construction projects. School leaders hope to break ground on a new high school in May. Coming up tomorrow here on News 3 at 6, why volunteers and donations are still needed and how you can help rebuild Joplin. This week marks 9 months since the devastating tornado in Joplin, Missouri. More than 100,000 people have come to the city's aid since then. Those volunteers have saved the city millions of dollars in emergency costs. And as News 3's Stephanie Tierpak shows us, those efforts are still a big part of rebuilding Joplin.
And they've realized that the process is going to be a lot longer than what they had hoped for and expected.
In the hours following the May 22nd tornado, College Heights Christian Church in Joplin jumped into action. Soon more than 2,000 people were showing up to volunteer.
We didn't ask them to come. They just started flooding in and saying, hey, we're going to help.
The Red Cross approached the large congregation and school asking the church to become one of the city's main distribution centers, providing food and supplies for more than 3,000 storm survivors. Now, 9 months later, the church's distribution center is still in place.
They come in realizing that there's certain stuff that they didn't think about that they don't have anymore.
Do you need water today?
Yes.
The center's personal shopping assistants have built close relationships with survivors, encouraging them to take what they need.
We know their stories. We take notes whenever they have struggles.
Supervisor Elizabeth Ford has seen people from all walks of life using the center. Supplies have dwindled, but so far another truckload has always come through.
Our donations are very minimal, and we have went through what came in very fast.
The church is hoping spring break will bring a new round of donations and volunteers for the center and other local projects.
The faith-based organizations, the community organizations, everybody's working together, and you can see it.
Rebuild Joplin is one of the community organizations that focused on pairing volunteers with local charities.
We started hearing some stories of people showing up in town with a busload of folks that wanted to help and then getting turned away because they didn't have a connection.
RebuildJoplin.org went live during President Obama's speech 5 days after the storm.
We probably had 10,000 hits the first day.
Co-founder Jared Hogan is moving Rebuild Joplin's purpose from emergency help to long-term needs and made a goal to build homes for 500 families.
We've actually partnered with a group in New Orleans called the St. Bernard Project. They've been down there about 6 years rebuilding homes for people after Katrina.
Hogan believes, like New Orleans, Joplin will need the help of volunteers for years to come.
You're still going to see the marks of the storm.
In Joplin, Missouri, Stephanie Tierpak, News 3.
College Heights Christian Church and Rebuild Joplin are currently looking for volunteers and donations. We have more information on ways you can help at WSILTV.com.